Greetings, comrades. We're back with some more Capital. Today we are tackling chapter 17, titled Changes of Magnitude in the Price of Labor Power and Surplus Value. So this is one of those chapters where I'm really glad that Marx repeats himself multiple times and rephrases things, because the first half of the chapter I spent really confused, and then it all came together in the second half, and then helped, of course, by the discussion I had with comrades. So going into this, when we're thinking about changes in magnitude, what we're really talking about is the proportionality between time and intensity of work. Okay, so we're just looking at like ratios essentially between how long a worker is working and how intensely they are working during that time. Okay, that's really what this is coming down to. He makes some assumptions, so we're going into this assuming that commodities are sold at their value and that the price of labor power rises occasionally above its value but never below it. Okay, we're going into it with these things in mind. So talking about the relative magnitude of surplus value, right? So surplus value is the profit that the capitalist is making off of the workers, okay? And then the price of labor power is what the workers are getting paid, okay? So three things that we're looking at here are the length of the working day, okay? That can be changed, lengthened, or shortened. We're looking at the normal intensity of labor, and we're looking at the productiveness of labor, okay? And that changes when we add machinery and things, okay? So as we increase the intensity of work, we're working harder. We are increasing productiveness, generally speaking, yes, but we are decreasing quality. So as this working day lengthens, right, let's say normally I'm working 8 hours a day, but now I have to start working 10 hours a day. It's so strange to explain this. Okay, so the quality of work is going to decrease when I'm working these longer hours. I cannot work at the same level for 10 hours as I could at 8. That's just human nature. We only have so much energy. We need rest. We need downtime. The longer these days are extended, the lower the quality of labor, the higher risk of injury. And that's why in previous chapters we've talked about this shortening of the working day, because it was necessary, because people were dying, and they found that people were more efficiently working. There's like a sweet spot, and it was 8 to 10 hours a day. So the value of labor power and the magnitude of surplus value are determined by, 1, the working day of X length creates the same amount of value no matter the productiveness of labor. 2, surplus value and the value of labor power vary in opposite directions, right? That makes sense. The value of labor power is the wage, right? Is what you're getting paid. And the surplus value is those extra hours that you're working, where all of the money goes towards the capitalist. So those things work inversely. I think that makes sense. And then the increase and decrease in surplus value is dependent on, not the cause of, the corresponding increase and decrease in the value of labor power. So really, all this is just saying is that the value of labor power is determined by value of a given quality of necessities, right? The value of labor power is basically what it takes to keep me alive, to keep working, okay? That's why we have minimum wage. That's essentially what that means. And that is a constant, and that the variable factors here are going to be the length of the working day, the intensity of work, and the productiveness of labor based on like adding machinery. Okay, all of this chapter is just looking at these ratios and how changing one factor alters the other factor, and that really what it comes down to is the capitalist wants to make the most money possible. They want to squeeze everything they can out of the worker and make the most money they can as quickly as possible, and while like in the shortest amount of time possible, the cheapest way they can make the most money. Really, that's what capitalism is. There's a great quote at the very end, the last sentence of this chapter. In a capitalist society, spare time is acquired for one class by converting the whole lifetime of the masses into labor time. That's all it is. Capitalists take all their spare time from the work that the working class is doing. They're stealing it from us. Cheers, y'all.